We're live, Jay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. Just give everyone a few minutes and then I will jump right in.
You're live on social.
All right, we're going to get started. All right, at Diamond Accelerator, we receive numerous inquiries daily from providers, med spa owners, plastic surgeons, and other businesses in the aesthetic industry. These questions cover a wide range of topics, and if you are a consulting client with mine, you know all too well there is no stone left unturned. We cover it all. Of course, a common topic we get asked is how to create a patient reward program for referring friends. Patient reward programs are extremely lucrative for your business for a number of reasons. It brings new patients through the door, it creates brand awareness, and overall, it increases revenue. That might sound like a no-brainer. However, patient referral rewards come with several layers of regulations. It is crucial for you and your business to understand the potential risks before moving forward. While we at Diamond are extremely well versed in state-specific regulations, please note that this is not legal advice, and we strongly advise consulting a healthcare attorney to review your rewards and referral programs once you've built them. Now, let's dive into the risks to be mindful of when rolling out your program. The federal anti-kickback statute is a key law to be aware of when considering patient referral programs. This statute prohibits offering anything of value. So whether it's cash, gift cards, discounts, you name it, you can't do it in exchange for referrals of services that are covered by healthcare programs. So what does that mean? Essentially, that means that you can't offer a patient a reward for any type of referral if the service is deemed a medical service or if insurance is involved in any way. So, like many of you, if a spa offers both traditional spa treatments like hydrofacial, as well as regulated medical treatments like Botox, laser, chemical peels, then the rules that govern the medical services, including those anti-kickback laws, will apply to those specific services. So in this case, the referral program should distinguish between non-medical services, which can have rewards, and medical services, which will be restricted. Most US states have some form of kickback laws related to healthcare services. So each state is a little bit different, but all of them have some form of a kickback law in place, particularly to prevent conflict of interest or unethical practices. So in essence, it looks a little bit unethical if you are trying to entice patients to come in and a client may feel that they're being swayed in a certain direction because there's some type of kickback involved. However, the strictness of these laws vary by state, and while some states might not explicitly use the term kickback, they often have very similar regulations that prohibit the division of fees and financial incentives for those referrals. Now, with that being said, how can you move forward with a referral program? Because as we said in the beginning, they are very lucrative, and there are ways to be legally compliant with these. So typically, as I mentioned, there's non-medical services like facials. Those are not regulated when it comes to the anti-kickback laws. So since spa services generally don't involve a medical treatment, the rules governing that healthcare referrals, such as anti-kickback statute, does not generally apply for those. So in essence, what are some best practices to remain compliant while also reaping the benefits of your rewards program? 1, make sure that any agreement or incentive is very clearly documented. So referral programs should still comply with state and any federal advertising laws and consumer protection regulations. So ensure that there's any terms and conditions that you have for your referral program is extremely transparent and that each program does not sound misleading in other way or in any way. So transparency is key here for best practice. 2, non-medical services. So as we discussed, you cannot have any medical service involved. So medical services being like Botox, HRT, laser treatments, or any type of medical grade skincare treatments like a chemical peel, those cannot be utilized in any type of rewards program. And 3, local business laws. This is extremely important. So something that you need to consider as a business owner is to comply with general business laws in each state. So for example, tax implications for certain rewards. So if you give a very large gift card, that gift card might have certain tax consequences associated with that. So that is something to keep in mind. Those are 3 of the best practices to follow. So you might be thinking, Some of you are thinking this seems straightforward, but there still are some gray areas. So today I want to give you a couple examples of how you can implement rewards programs into your practice. So one example being a patient reward for aesthetic practice could be retail. So for each successful referral, and when I say successful referral, I mean you didn't just blurt out to everyone that would listen about this med spa. A successful referral is someone that is coming in, booked an appointment, and paid for some type of service or consultation. So for a successful referral, the referring client could receive a complimentary skincare product. So how is this compliant? This is where I think the confusion comes, because in your brain, you want to associate a product with some type of value. But this reward is actually non-cash, and it's also not healthcare related. So it avoids that pitfall of the anti-kickback statute. It also doesn't associate any services tied with it, so there's no risk of it bleeding through insurance. So there's completely clean there. And the best part about this is the reward is capped. So it's a very modest and reasonable value. So it does not appear unethical. We're not giving away everything but the walls. It's a very modest thank you. So that is an appropriate referral gift that you could hand out. This structure provides a very tangible incentive for clients while staying within the bounds of that compliance. Another compliant example of a patient referral reward program would be using a service. So for example, the offer would be a free spa service for any successful referral. Now, the key here is to do something that is low consumable. So for example, you wouldn't want to use hydrofacial because, as we know very well, hydrofacials consumable costs end up being close to about $90 per service. So that is not a low consumable. I would suggest a 30-minute either express signature facial that maybe is custom to your med spa, where you're using wonderful products, but nothing medical. This is compliant because, again, not a medical service. It's not tied to any insurance procedures or service covered by anything that looks sticky in that regard. It also avoids using discounts, so related to or services related to injectables, laser treatments, or anything medical. So I like that one also because it brings patients in. So they're testing out your spa service, or they're experiencing a service that maybe they hadn't before. And that is just another incentive for them to go to their friends and family and talk about your med spa. So my last compliant example of a patient referral reward would be by far my favorite version of a rewards program, loyalty points. For each successful referral, and remember, a successful referral is someone that is coming in, booking an appointment, or scheduling for a future appointment and coming and spending. So for example, the referring client would earn 100 loyalty points, which could be redeemed. I like to do maybe when you get to 500 loyalty points, you could get that complimentary spa service. So at that point, they're referring 5 people coming in to get their 500 loyalty points. So to me, this keeps the client engaged while remaining compliant on your end. So we're referring 5 people and then reaping the benefits of a free facial, where they could have just referred 1 and gotten the 1 free service and maybe didn't spread the word as much as they would if you used this rewards program structure. So I really hope that this call was insightful for you. If you do have a rewards program that you feel like you may not be compliant with, we would love to help you here with Diamond to kind of restructure that for you. And if you are seeking any state guidance for any certain services, again, it is very crucial to consult with a healthcare attorney or legal professional. And if you do need a healthcare attorney, we do have several trusted advisors that we would be more than happy to connect you with. So I would love to answer any questions or hear about the referral programs you guys currently have in place. I would love to open the floor now. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jessica. Any questions or any successful referral programs?
MJ, you did get a question in the chat here on Zoom. It says, what if my patients are used to getting beauty bucks or discounts towards Botox or filler? How could we keep doing that, or how would we shift that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great question. So unfortunately, Botox or filler does fall within that medical scope. So just to remain compliant, I would shift the verbiage of that conversation and lead them towards any spa services that you could that does not deem as medical whatsoever. So some verbiage that you could use is, I see here you've got 500 loyalty points that you could redeem. Here are the services that you are able to redeem that with. You could do a hydrofacial, and then you could go down the list. So setting that precedence really early on and being transparent about what you can and can't use those funds for is going to be crucial to ensure that you remain compliant, but you also keep your patients very happy as well. So again, it's really in the verbiage. So maybe your front desk associate could just say, I see you have 500 loyalty points here. Here is how you could use those funds. Of course, questions are going to arise, and use that as an opportunity to upsell. I do hear you that you're interested in Botox or filler. Unfortunately, these 500 loyalty points can't be applied towards those services, but we'd be more than happy to set you up with a complimentary consultation with one of our master injectors. So that way we can navigate kind of pricing and what's your buying style, so that we can talk financing if you wanted to go down that route. So just being very transparent that they cannot use those funds towards those services. That's a good question. Anything else? I would love to answer or help you guys with any changes to your rewards programs, or answer if your rewards programs, if you feel like they currently maybe are in a gray area and you'd like to get some guidance on that, I'd be happy to help you with that.
I also think it'd be interesting for you to touch real quick on just like, what do you believe works the best, right? Obviously, we want to be compliant, but I'd love for you to touch on a little bit what are some successful practices of reward programs that really drive, new patients and our existing patients that are referring, utilizing these loyalty and reward programs, like to spend more with us.
Great question. So by far, the most successful version of this that I'm seeing are those loyalty points, because you can build in ways to earn loyalty points in addition to just referring new patients. So for example, rewards for how many times you come in and do a service could get you 100 loyalty points per service done. You could get 500 for referring one person. You can really structure it to where one person gets you a large amount of loyalty points. And then these loyalty points, as I mentioned, can be used towards specific services, and you can kind of be strategic if you want to kind of cross-sell. So for example, if someone's been coming in and just doing one type of service, one type of facial that's not medical, and you'd like to try to get them trying the others, we can get them to use their loyalty points on something that's applicable and not a medical service, have them try it out. They might fall in love with it, and they might end up coming back and being a cash flow patient for that service. So it's a good opportunity to get people to commit to services that they might not have tried before, because they feel like they're getting it for free. So again, this rewards program could either be through referrals or rewarding them for behavior. Maybe they buy 10 products, and each time they buy a product, it's 100 rewards points. So just giving them that built-in loyalty. You could use the verbiage like, we want to thank you for investing in our med spa. We know you have a lot of options. There's med spas, it seems like, on every corner now. We want to thank you for remaining loyal to us, and here's how we do that through these loyalty points. So just verbiage kind of thanking them, patient appreciation. That is by far the most successful model that I see.
Hi, MJ. This is Chris Householder out of Tennessee. I do have one quick question. We haven't even opened yet. I know you've been on a call with Bailey before. We currently are doing, like, refer somebody and both receive $50. Obviously, that's not going to work with this law unless we do it. I would say we're offering more medical services than we are, like hydrofacial is probably the only thing that we're offering, dermaplaning. So how would you suggest that we restructure that? Should we say the 50 for each, but only to be used on hydrofacial maybe? Or, I mean, that's using a lot of consumables.
Right. It is. So you could keep the structure you have in place, but just like you said, kind of gearing the conversation towards here are the only services that you could use that for. I am not the biggest fan in using hydrofacial for any type of rewards because the consumable is so high. When you break down, I mean, I got very granular with breaking down the consumables of hydrofacial. How many pumps of alcohol and gauze were my estheticians using? What is your overhead for your estheticians? All of the serums, all the steps. So it ends up being about $90. So definitely not one that I would ever recommend using for a free service. Because you guys haven't opened yet, you guys are in a really perfect opportunity to create that signature facial. So maybe name it after your town or after your med spa, and just use, your back bar. Maybe give them like a nice exfoliation, whatever fits your brand the best and that feels productive for patients, something that you would feel luxurious getting yourself, but make it just a 30-minute express signature facial. And then that's a low consumable. And then it's not taking a ton of time off your schedule if it's just about 30 minutes. So setting the expectation of you can use these funds towards these services, but definitely wouldn't do hydrofacial. And then of course, as you learned today, we couldn't do anything that is deemed medical. So definitely the funds could not be used towards Botox, any type of laser services. So just remaining transparent with that. And I think you guys will be great.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. You're in a great position. That you're in one of my favorite positions where you're just about to open. So the possibilities are so endless for you. You're in a great spot where you can create a new signature express facial. And if you need any help with that, I know Abby is your consultant and she is going to be a rock star for you with that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course.
MJ, just to pair back on that question, when we have limited services, that it's not easy to just shift away from those medical-based services,
Right.
but or we just certainly or just right now don't have another option, but we really want to reward them, right? Could we like stay compliant in the sense of, oh, like, you know, this referral or rewards is also really maybe just like, I'm going to give you a discount, right? That it's, and you don't have this paper trail of, that it's necessarily breaking that you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on that? And how could I do it without necessarily leaving a paper trail and make the client feel really, you know, rewarded and valued for that referral?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is where it gets so sticky. So that is kind of, you know, for example, there's not a ton of wiggle room with that. You can't really give them a discount because that does have value associated with it. So that's where the conversation has shifted more towards those loyalty points and the transparency of what it can and can't be used for. And just using verbiage, just letting them know, hey, we are protecting ourselves and we're protecting you as a patient. We unfortunately, because there are laws in place in Tennessee, we'll use, for example, we aren't able to give you discounts or let you use those loyalty points towards those medical services. And patient education is so vital, especially when things are so gray in this way. Could you go down this avenue? Would this be legal? I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't be able to really give you that true legal advice, but I do know it is better safe than sorry, truly. So patient education, letting them know my hands are tied. I would love to offer you discounts for these services based on, you know, you referred 5 people here, you've got 500 loyalty points or whatever the referral structure is that you decide to put in place. Patient education is just so important. I think that it builds a lot of trust and authority with the patients for you telling them, unfortunately, per the state laws, we aren't able to do that for you. By telling patients no, I'm sure you guys experience this every day, that builds so much authority. You know, maybe telling a patient, unfortunately, we can't do another syringe in your lips because they're about to bust or something like that. That builds a ton of authority. So really no kind of gets you a little bit farther because then they're thinking to themselves, oh, they're minding their P's and Q's. So I'm gonna move forward with whatever I can use these points for. So trust builds a ton of authority, and saying no sometimes will get you a lot farther, in my opinion.
Yeah, and potentially also looking at utilizing it on retail, right? Because there, you know, you should at least be doing 100% markup. And if you once you get them hooked on that medical grade skincare regimen, like then there's good profit margin in that. So that could potentially be an offer if you don't have some of those other services to look towards.
Absolutely, absolutely. Get them hooked on that skincare and then make them come back time and time again because they can't live without it. So that would definitely be the gift that keeps on giving.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. You can catch us here every Wednesday. We give you the biggest tips and tricks in the industry, any industry knowledge. You can find it here every Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that this was insightful for you. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you guys ever have any follow-up questions, or if you do need access to that healthcare attorney, we would be happy to pass along that information for you. Thank you.